Okay, guys. Now, let's see top 10 Criminal Minds episodes based on true story.
Miss Canada? Yes? Will you come in? Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Criminal Minds episodes based on true events.
Wish to make your peace with God, Jacob. I've made my peace 18 times. I remember Waco. We all did.
For this list, we're looking at various episodes of Criminal Minds that were influenced by or directly adapted from real true crime cases. Which of these cases fascinates you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10, Natural Born Killer.
You killed all these people. Hundreds of them. And only one woman.
This first season episode concerns a professional hitman by the name of Vincent Parada, who is often hired by mob bosses. After kidnapping his victims, Parada would inflict pain and suffering on them, and then dispose of their various body parts. This fictional hitman is inspired by Richard Kuklinski, who is perhaps better known as the Iceman.
I have heard people that mean everything to me.
Like Parada, the Iceman allegedly worked as a hitman for the mob, preferred male victims, was tormented as a child, and had a personal vendetta against his father.
He's learned to take the pain, and it's why he has no compassion for anyone else's. You gotta trust us.
Unfortunately, the crimes of Kuklinski are hard to corroborate, as he is known to exaggerate. He was officially convicted of 5 murders, including the death of a police officer with connections to the mafia.
Is that all you've got left to see? That's all I've got left. Everything that I ever cared for is gone.
Number 9, Broken Wing. In season 14, a nurse by the name of Douglas Knight injected his victims with opioids and masked their deaths as tragic overdoses.
Don't leave. Don't leave me.
By doing so, he successfully evaded both suspicion and capture, at least for a little while.
Let me switch to this side.
Influenced by Dr. Harvey, an angel of death from Ohio who worked as a hospital coordinator. Late at night, Harvey did not have a single modus operandi. Rather, he was financial, including cyanide poisoning, shutting off mental
Trying to get comfortable.
injecting HIV into bodies with
Grace just doubts as to whether or not this guy was reciting some sort of fantasy.
You see any booties?
convicted of 37 deaths. The true number is 97. Number 8, Cradle to Grave. Season 5's Cradle to Grave is certainly one of the most upsetting episodes of Criminal Minds. It follows Arizona couple Robert and Linda Wyman, who kidnap women, impregnate them, steal the resulting adopting babies to raise as their own, and then dispose of the victims.
I knew this would end. I always knew you'd come to our door and take this away.
This story is loosely based on the kidnapping of Oregon woman Colleen Stan. Stan was hitchhiking in 1977 when she was abducted by Cameron and Janice Hooker and subjected to similar horrors.
She's the kidnap victim, once known as the girl in the box, imprisoned for 7 years in a wooden crate.
She finally escaped in 1984. Cameron was sentenced to 104 years, and Janice was granted full immunity from testifying in this trial. Aside from Cradle to Grave, the case also inspired the movie The Poughkeepsie Tapes.
You shouldn't get in the stranger's car.
Number 7. The Perfect Storm.
Honey.
Don't you mean they need to know?
Amber and Tony Canardo of season 2's The Perfect Storm have multiple life precedents. One is Ian Brady and Myra Hindley, a couple responsible for 5 youth deaths around Manchester, England between 1963 and
What's
1965.
the matter,
Couple
Pumpkin
of big
Doodles?
front-page news ever since. Ian Brady wanted to commit the perfect murder, to keep possession of his victims. Dark secrets in shallow graves on the moors above Manchester.
Another influence is David and Catherine Burney, who abducted and murdered 4 in Western Australia in 1986. A 5th victim escaped and led authorities to their location.
So we drove past the house. She actually became quite upset when she pointed the house out. And at that point, we realised everything she said, we were satisfied that everything she said was absolutely accurate. You know, we were convinced it just wasn't a made-up story.
But the DVD commentary reveals that the biggest influence on the episode was the case of Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka. This was a Canadian couple who kidnapped and murdered numerous people in the early 90s, including Homolka's younger sister, Tammy.
Homolka didn't lift a finger to save her sister from Bernardo.
Number 6, Ashes and Dust. Another episode from season 2, Ashes and Dust concerns serial arsonist Vincent Stiles. A pharmaceutical salesman by day, Stiles would sneak into the homes of wealthy businessmen, douse the place in kerosene, and set it on fire with a lighter. He would then watch the families burn while wearing protective equipment.
I'm sorry you lost me. The innocent family? You know, the victims. It's what the suit's for, right? So you can see the terror on their faces.
This story is loosely based on the case of Paul Kenneth Keller, a serial arsonist from Washington who is directly mentioned in the episode itself.
There was a serial arsonist up in Seattle, early 90s. Paul Kenneth Keller. Yeah. He used to drive around all day selling advertising for his dad's agency, picking out places.
Keller set over 100 fires and caused $30 million in damage between 1992 and 93. In the fall of 92, Keller set fire to a Seattle retirement home, resulting in multiple senior deaths. He is currently serving 107 years in prison.
It's very hard to rationally explain why I did that, because there's no rational reason. I was not angry at Trinity. I was not, but I was very empty. And perhaps I thought that others needed to be as empty as I was.
Number 5, the 13th step.
Ray? It's conforming.
It's not conforming.
Saying you own me.
That's an old-fashioned way of looking at things.
Ray Donovan and Sydney Manning were the subjects of the 6th season episode The 13th Step. Hailing from North Dakota, these two terrorized the northwestern United States.
What do you want me to do? There's nothing you can't do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, baby.
The couple committed multiple mass shootings, causing numerous deaths at gas stations and an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. While the duo shares some similarities with Charles Starkweather and Carol Ann Fugate, they were mostly influenced by the legendary crime spree of Bonnie and Clyde.
Fueled by passion and love, the desire to escape poverty, and utter contempt for authority, Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow united.
They too targeted rural gas stations and claimed upwards of 13 lives, including 9 police officers. And like Ray and Sydney, their spree also ended in a hail of gunfire. Number 4, riding the lightning. To ride the lightning means to be executed by the electric chair. this case, it directly references the fates of Jacob Dawes and Sarah Jean Mason.
Sarah Jean! I told you we'd be together forever!
Dawes kidnapped females and tormented them in his personal workshop before burying the remains on the property.
Are there more bodies? If I told you that, what would I have left for myself?
His wife, Sarah Jean, did not take part in the deaths, but also did nothing to stop her husband. Dawes shares many similarities with John Wayne Gacy. He too targeted one specific gender. Contrary to Dawes, he only targeted males, and he also buried his victims under his house.
Gacy was the epitome of evil, and he was the epitome of being a great guy, which gave him the ability to be the most evil guy in the world.
Number 3, To Hell and Back. Serving as the 2-part 4th season finale, To Hell and Back concerns murderous brothers Mason and Lucas Turner. Mason is the leader of the operation, manipulating his brother, who is mentally disabled, into committing dozens of crimes.
You don't have to tie me up like this.
Mason says always.
Mason doesn't want us to be friends, remember?
Their horribly violent crime spree culminated in a staggering number of deaths.
How many victims were there? 100? More? Do you even know for sure?
They shared a lot in common with Robert Pickton. Both committed their crimes in Canada, both were pig farmers, and both used their barn animals to dispose of their victims' remains.
Do I think he acted alone? I think he acted alone most of the time, but I don't think he acted alone all of the time.
They also targeted lonely people like sex workers and drug addicts to prevent high-profile attention. Number 2, Minimal Loss. The 4th season episode, Minimal Loss, is a little different. Rather than focusing on one or two specific criminal minds,
Sorry,
it
guys.
concerns an entire cult and its eccentric leader.
Acknowledge him in all things, and he will guide your way. Drink to acknowledge him, and I will guide our way.
The cult is the Sepetarian sect, whose compound is located in rural Colorado. Its leader is Predator Benjamin Cyrus.
God will forgive me for what I must do. I don't know what you're talking about.
Cyrus is mostly based on famous cult leader Jim Jones, who oversaw the People's Temple. Like Cyrus, Jones made his followers drink poison. And while Cyrus's poison scheme was a bluff, Jones's wasn't. And hundreds of People's Temple members died on November 18th, 1978.
I think the lessons of Jonestown is to really go within so you don't have to go without.
It's better to live for a cause than die for it.
The disastrous hostage crisis at the rural compound also shares many similarities with the deadly Waco siege in 1993, which resulted in the deaths of many Branch Davidians.
Huge numbers of Americans watched this play out on their television sets, and the
I do remember this when I was a baby.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Our Darkest Hour, The Longest Night.
Love radio. You really think that matters that much to me?
Turning in his scariest performance since Pennywise in this 2-parter, Tim Curry portrayed Billy Flynn, who is nicknamed the Prince of Darkness owing to his penchant for taking lives in the dark. He would usually strike during a rolling
Man, he got
breaking into
heavier.
a house and murdering most of its occupants.
Get up!
You think they'll remember me now?
The influences behind Flynn are many, but he is largely based on 2 specific people. The first is Gordon Cummins, who struck during wartime blackouts and claimed the lives of 4 women in 1942. The other is Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker.
Such is his reputation that extra security was set up outside the courtroom, and many spectators crowded around for a glimpse of an accused serial killer.
Both he and Flynn had horrible teeth. Both broke into homes in the dead of night, and both were accosted by a gang of angry civilians.
He said something in Spanish about, I'm lucky the cops are coming or something.
As soon as all the neighbors just hung together and got it.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Watch Mojo.
Alright guys, I see you in my 6th video, so I see you then.